CW Philly.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Speak Up. I'm Natasha Brown. The nation is currently in the midst of a housing market crisis, and Philadelphia is no exception to that. Foreclosure activity in the city increased 20% in September, a slightly higher rate than the national average. We do have a pair of real estate agents with us this morning to talk to us about how homeowners can protect themselves from losing their homes. Let's welcome Jumoke Dada and Ed Welch. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Well, let's just talk about that. I mean, just this data released finds that home prices fell in August for the 8th consecutive month. Analysts don't project a turnaround in the market anytime soon. So what are the first steps for homeowners who are in trouble at this point?
Well, this is no mystery that foreclosures are on the rise, and as you said, 20% in September in Philadelphia alone. There's a lot of reasons why this has happened. It's a very interesting economic story, low interest rates, dispersion of risk, and the list goes on. But we want to talk about foreclosure prevention.
Yeah.
And there's many things that you can do, and the first thing you want to do is be proactive.
And how do you do that? What are some of the steps to be proactive about making sure you don't get into this situation?
Well, one option would be to contact the bank and possibly try to come up with a repayment plan if you're being faced with being in default. And this is where you would try to negotiate different terms on your mortgage.
Mm-hmm. And let's just talk about foreclosure in general, just explaining to people exactly what it is, and is it just you when you get behind in your payments, you just can't seem to catch up? I mean, let's talk about exactly what it is.
The process is your mortgage is security for your home. And if you can't make your payments, then there's a potential that you're going to lose your home. And there are many options in between the point where you've run into financial trouble and the point that you do lose your home. As we already said, be proactive, contact your lender, and find out what options are available to you. One very important, the most important thing would be, don't ignore the problem. If you
so
have
if the lenders are calling, they're just writing you. I mean, respond. Talk to them about what's happening.
Respond. Open your mail. Don't throw the mail away. There's going to be, if you are in trouble, there's going to be great information in the mail that explain the options that you have. So you want to utilize these tools. If you wait, the mail that comes later down the line may have pending legal notices.
Right. Because I think most banks would prefer that the client actually work something out with them as opposed to having to go into foreclosure.
Well, here in Philadelphia, where we saw a slightly higher risk of this than the national average, I mean, what specifically is happening here in Philadelphia? Is it just the housing market was booming at one point? We were just lots of mortgages out there. Real estate was at an all-time high. What's happening specifically to Philadelphia that's making this more of a problem? In the city?
It's not just Philadelphia. It's the same everywhere. But what's happening is that the real estate market in general has experienced great amounts of and enjoyed great amounts of appreciation, and now we're coming back down the backside of the cycle. And people, capital was cheap. It was very inexpensive to get a mortgage. So everyone took out the mortgages and sometimes bought into more than they can afford. And now that these prices aren't continuing to rise, that's where we're getting caught.
And it was easier then, I would assume, to get a mortgage. What about now? What would people face now in light of this housing crisis?
The rules are a lot more stringent now. Trying to get a mortgage, even as a realtor, I'm seeing where people have put in offers for homes but cannot make the mortgage, so the deal falls through. It's a lot more stringent. The credit verification, income verification, they're making it a lot more difficult for people to get mortgages now.
Well, so what are your options? You obviously don't avoid your mail. You don't avoid the lender. You don't go hiding when the calls come in or the mail comes.
Don't run for the hills.
You don't run for the hills. Just talk about some of the prevention options and some of the counseling, I guess, that's available as well through HUD and other entities.
I think the first thing before you get to HUD would be to look at your own loan documents and educate yourself on your specific situation and see what your lender can do if you stop making your payments. And then I think HUD would be the next choice, the FHA.gov.
And tell us what you would find at FHA.gov. How would that help you?
Sure. I'll let Edward speak on that.
The FHA.gov explains the foreclosure process, and it explains the options, the legal options that you have. And they offer housing counselors to you nationwide at low cost or no cost. So you need to talk to someone that knows what they're doing with respect to foreclosure. You need to talk to a reputable real estate professional, whether it's a realtor, an attorney, housing counselor.
And even some community development offices have information for the community dwellers on how to avoid foreclosures.
Okay, well, we're going to continue our discussion if you guys will stay with us for a little bit longer today when Speak Up does return. More with Ed Welch and Jumoke Dada as we discuss the nation's foreclosure crisis. Back in a moment. Everyone to Speak Up. I'm Natasha Brown. Thanks for being here with us today. Our topic is this housing market crisis and the resulting foreclosure crunch that we're experiencing all over the country. Our guests are real estate agents Jumoke Dada and Ed Welch. Again, thanks for being here with us. Now, we do want to touch on homeowners who find themselves, in a situation where they've missed a few payments or so. I mean, is it too late for them? What should they be thinking and feeling at this point?
It's definitely not too late. And I'm going to use a dirty word here, budget.
Oh, yeah.
Prioritize your spending. Prioritize your spending. Look at your finances. Where can you trim some fat? Memberships, cable TV, dining out. After healthcare, keeping your home should be, paying for your home should be your first priority. Yeah, and we were talking earlier as well. I was just asking you guys, I mean, at this time, I would assume housing prices are dropping like rocks because, real estate agents want to sell more homes. And it would appear that since there are so many people in foreclosure, the housing prices would be dropping. So is this not a good time to buy, or what is this?
This is a great time to buy. Particularly if you're an investor, this is a great opportunity for you to buy homes and be able to possibly turn a profit in the coming years.
Well, what about here in Philadelphia? I mean, obviously this housing crisis is happening around the country, but here we're still seeing real estate popping up everywhere. I mean, high-priced real estate, condos and condo buildings everywhere that are clearly not inexpensive.
No.
So how is that evolving in the midst of what's happening here?
In Philadelphia, as everywhere, real estate is very specific. It's location specific and it's type specific. So you'll find some of the higher end, the Park Rittenhouse houses, the Symphony houses, these they're still appreciating. The prices are still going up. It's some of the other, the influx of condominiums, the high inventory. That's where you're seeing a problem. I can't predict the future, so I can't tell you when, but all indicators say that for the next couple years, we're going to have continued issues in the real estate mortgage market.
Yeah, and one thing is that Philadelphia, in comparison to New York and Washington, D.C., Philadelphia is still pretty reasonable. And I think that's why a lot of development is still going on, because they're catering to people that are looking to relocate to Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, what about the person out there who is hearing all this, getting a little terrified by the whole idea of going into foreclosure, but they still want to own their own home, they want to buy their own home. I mean, what are some of the pointers you would give them at this point, some of the plans they should be working toward just to ensure that this never happens to them?
Well, they could, for one, they could contact their loan officer and talk about possibly a repayment plan. And with this, there are different terms, but they can negotiate a period of time where they make little to no payments on their mortgage to catch up.
I see. And because things are getting so much harder in terms of getting a home mortgage, I mean, are we seeing more predatory lenders out there that are capitalizing on this, or what's happening?
I actually think it's the reverse. At this point, things have become so stringent, and the guidelines. As an appraiser, I'm being scrutinized on these appraisal reports now because the risk averseness is not there. People do not want the risk anymore. As a few years ago, giving away 103, 105%, giving you money back to buy these things. Now you need to have money down, and that's a very important piece of it. You want to have equity in your home. The more leveraged you are, the more chance there is for foreclosure.
And are you finding homeowners, desperate homeowners, who are trying to get rid of a home that they may have, can't afford, may not be able to afford anymore? Are they just losing money on this, just trying to get rid of it in any way, adding incentives and things like that for buyers, or what are you finding there?
I know short sales are becoming pretty popular.
And tell us what that is, short sale.
Where they find an investor to purchase the price at a lower amount than what's owed on the mortgage.
The short sales are definitely on the market now. I've been involved in a few myself. I have some listings now that are short sales, and this is what it is. You're actually selling the home for less than what is owed on the property. And between that and other options that the lenders are taking, it tells me that these lenders want to work this problem out.
Exactly.
This is a widespread and deep problem everywhere, and it's in everyone's best interest, the lender,